I went to visit my grandfather on the farm, and he was eagerly awaiting my arrival with a big surprise. Good afternoon, my dear followers of the Infidel Secrets channel. For those who don't know me yet, I'm Amber. At 29 years old, I'm here to share a story that I believe will take many by surprise. Before I dive deeper into my introduction, I feel it's important to explain what prompted me to come here and share such a personal part of my life with you. Trust me, it all revolves around my grandfather. Yes, you've seen the title of this video, and you know today's topic centers on him. But before you jump to any conclusions or make quick judgments, I ask you to hear me out until the end. I want to clarify every detail and reveal what truly unfolded. I understand this might come as a shock to some, but there are moments in life that challenge us to ponder things we never thought we would consider. In my case, one question kept echoing in my mind. Does my grandfather still experience any kind of stimulation if I provoke him? I know it sounds odd, but this question began to weigh on me as I reflected on his age. Did he still possess that spark, that desire we associate with younger people? Initially, it was just a curiosity, a somewhat naive thought. But over time, this idea transformed into a form of silent provocation, an internal test, almost like a game I devised for myself. What started as a seemingly silly question evolved into an experience I never anticipated. I can imagine some of you are already guessing where the story is headed, but believe me, it's far more intricate than it appears at first glance. Each moment of this narrative carries weight and significance that will keep you engaged until the very end, and I assure you that the conclusion will leave you astonished. So, get ready and stay with me as I unveil every detail of this experience where every tiny decision played a crucial role. I have long, curly blonde hair that cascades down to my shoulders and vibrant blue eyes that sparkle brightly. With a confident demeanor, I stand 1.70 meters tall and weigh over 60 kilograms. My toned physique is a result of the hours I spend at the gym in Dallas, my beloved city. I've always been passionate and free-spirited, a woman with a hint of daring who embraces every moment. From a young age, I discovered my love for the intensity of a kiss and the joy of truly living. I seek to fully experience everything life has to offer. My essence embodies someone who lives unreservedly, immersing herself in experiences that quicken the heart. When I'm in search of excitement, I seek out men who can pique my curiosity, those who understand the art of seduction and are eager to embark on this adventure with me. I have little patience for uncertainty. I desire someone who is confident, knows how to take the lead, and isn't afraid to guide me as we explore the boundaries of pleasure. Adrenaline surges through my veins, particularly during moments of unbridled passion. That exhilarating sensation of a captivating kiss that awakens every cell in my body is something I truly cherish. It's as if the world fades away, leaving only the profound connection between us, one that speaks louder than any words could. Living life to the fullest is my guiding principle. I'm always ready for new adventures and thrilling encounters because life is far too short not to explore every shade of experience, especially those filled with pleasure and intrigue. Each new day, I chase the exhilaration of immersing myself entirely in the present, savoring every moment as if it were one of a kind. Nothing feels more liberating than breaking free from monotony and allowing myself to embrace the unexpected, with both heart and mind open to the uncharted. Through various encounters and experiences, I eventually met someone I chose to marry. He later became my ex-husband, but we spent 8 years together. During that time, I gave birth to 2 children with him, Jared and Mia. Those years were intense and unforgettable, leaving behind cherished memories and a lasting connection through our children. After the divorce, I decided to focus on self-care and pursue a long-held dream, obtaining a master's degree in Europe. With that goal in mind, I felt it was the perfect chance to reconnect with old friends and perhaps meet new people. While the master's program abroad was my top priority, I started counting down the days as everything fell into place. With only a month left before my trip to London, where I would spend 2 years deepening my studies, I arranged for my children, Jared and Mia, to stay with their father to ensure they would be well cared for while I chased my dreams. With my departure just a month away, I decided to take advantage of this time to visit my paternal grandparents, who live on a tranquil farm in the countryside. The area is far from the city and incredibly peaceful, with hardly anyone around. Upon my arrival, I was welcomed with open arms and treated to a delicious colonial-style coffee, something I hadn't enjoyed in ages. My grandparents, Olivia and James, are in their 70s, yet they look remarkably youthful for their age. It's fascinating how those who live in rural settings like farms or ranches tend to maintain such robust health. I believe this stems from their simpler, more natural lifestyle, away from the stress and chaos of urban life. My grandmother continuously spoiled me with an array of delicious treats, and we spent hours catching up, sharing laughter and reminiscing about family tales. I can't believe it. Amber, you separated? He seemed like such a lovely man, my grandmother remarked, her expression filled with surprise. Yes, Grandma, I separated from him. Things just weren't working out, and I felt it was time to prioritize myself, focus on my studies, and take care of my kids, I explained, aiming to convey the decision I had made. That's right, my granddaughter. You must always think about what's best for you, she responded with a tone full of understanding and support. With that, my grandfather excused himself, mentioning he had to tend to the farm, leaving just my grandmother and me in the room. However, a few minutes later, she also left to assist him with some chores. Seizing the moment, I told her I was going to take a shower to wash away the travel fatigue. Once I stepped into the bathroom, I pushed the door against its frame without fully closing it. As I sat under the warm water, enjoying the soothing sensation, I was startled when someone entered without knocking. I didn't even have time to grab my towel before I turned to see who had caught me off guard. Sorry, Amber. I didn't realize you were in here, my grandfather said, surprise evident on his face. It's nothing, Grandpa, I replied, trying to remain calm despite the unusual situation. If you enjoy this scandalous story, don't forget to like and comment. My grandfather's gaze remained glued to me, his eyes roaming over me as if trying to comprehend whether I was truly his granddaughter. But there was something different in his expression. The noticeable bulge didn't escape my notice. It was impossible to overlook. His reaction seemed to reveal he was visibly stimulated by my presence. The intensity of his stare made my heart race, mingling nervousness with an inexplicable thrill that I couldn't control. Instead of hiding, I felt compelled to let him see me. A stirring sensation awakened within me, a desire to be noticed, to elicit that reaction from him. As it turned out, he genuinely enjoyed what he saw. His eyes were fixed on me, unwavering, as if I were the sole being in his world at that moment. The fascination reflected in his gaze was undeniable, heightening the adrenaline that surged through my veins. Time seemed to stretch, and I could feel the tension in the air. The silence between us was thick, suggesting a connection that transcended words. I pondered how far this could go, balancing on the fine line between acceptable and taboo. Yet in that moment, all I craved was for him to keep his gaze on me, stoking the flame that seemed to grow with every heartbeat. Desire and curiosity swirled around us, creating an atmosphere charged with electricity. The sensation of being completely exposed yet desired was exhilarating. I questioned whether he realized how nervous I felt, but I didn't want him to break the spell of that moment. The exchange of glances and the rising tension between us felt like a daring game that made me feel more alive than ever. I hoped he wouldn't move away, wishing to prolong that magical moment. The enchantment and burning desire were feelings I wanted to explore until the very end. I continued my shower, seemingly unaware of his presence, as if time had stopped in that steamy, foggy bathroom. The water cascaded over my body, refreshing my skin as I resumed my shower. My grandfather remained there, his gaze unwavering, fixated on me. The intensity of his stare plunged me into a mix of fantasy and desire, making me feel as though I were in a dream. He lowered his hand, and as I turned around, I had already grasped where it was going, which only heightened my excitement, stirring a yearning to delve deeper into that moment and provoke the situation further. Breaking the silence, I decided to engage him. "What's wrong, Grandpa? Did I do something to upset you?" The words slipped from my lips, tinged with a challenge that resonated in the stuffy room. "You've grown up, my granddaughter," he replied, his deep voice carrying an emotional weight. "Yes, I have. I'm a woman now, beautiful, single, and full of fire that needs to be kindled." Adrenaline coursed through my veins, and I could sense the tension thickening in the air, as if the room's temperature had risen. Each word I spoke seemed to amplify the situation, transforming an ordinary moment into something charged with emotion and unspoken promises. His gaze intensified, and I recognized we were teetering on the brink of something deeper and more perilous. Once I finished showering, I wrapped myself in a towel, still feeling his eyes on me as if he could read every thought racing through my mind. The bathroom door was slightly ajar, and the light from the hallway illuminated the room, casting dancing shadows on the walls. It was then that I heard a familiar voice cutting through the charged atmosphere. It was my grandmother calling for him. "Oh, James, where are you? Come help me." Her call felt like a sudden relief, but also an unwelcome interruption. A chill ran through me as I sensed my grandfather hesitating, still locked onto me for a moment, caught in a dilemma. "Go see what Grandma wants. You'll have plenty of chances to see all this again, my dear," I encouraged him. As soon as those words left my lips, I noticed the joy light up my grandfather's eyes. Yet, he quickly lost that joy upon hearing my grandmother's voice, leaving hastily as if he'd been caught in a compromising situation. I couldn't help but chuckle to myself in the bathroom. Who would have thought a man his age could still feel so vibrantly alive, with such fervor for a woman? The idea that he was still capable of such emotions both intrigued and excited me. It felt like a daring spark had ignited within me, urging me to venture into something that promised to be thrilling and dangerous. A few hours later, we gathered for lunch. The atmosphere buzzed with laughter and animated conversation, but I couldn't shake the feeling of my grandfather's watchful gaze. His eyes were filled with admiration as he continued to compliment me. "You've really blossomed, haven't you? You're a beautiful and charming woman," he said, his smile illuminating his face. I felt a bit embarrassed, but there was an undeniable thrill in hearing those compliments. To my surprise, my grandmother chimed in, backing him up with each praise. With my stomach already satisfied, we stood there exchanging casual words about everyday life when suddenly my grandmother delivered the phrase I had been eagerly anticipating. It was the perfect cue for what I had in mind. It felt as if that moment had been orchestrated by fate. "I'm going to lie down for a bit. Are you coming, James?" she asked, her voice tinged with weariness. I sensed that something significant was about to unfold, and my heart began to race. "Are you part of our community? There are plenty of other enticing channels like this one, so don't waste any time and join. I'll tidy up a few things here and be right there." "You can go ahead," my grandfather replied with a calm demeanor, though there was something in his tone that sent a shiver down my spine. Was it just my imagination, or did he sense what was coming? Without wasting a moment, I hurried to the bathroom to brush my teeth, which was really just an excuse to buy myself some time to plot every detail. Once I finished, I headed straight to my room, where I carefully selected my outfit. I chose a simple black skirt that fit perfectly and paired it with a white blouse. The contrast of colors made me feel empowered. I knew it was a bold choice, but it was exactly what I wanted. I returned to the kitchen, which still smelled of freshly prepared food, and there he was, my grandfather, seated at the table as if he had been waiting for me. The atmosphere felt thick, as if something invisible was poised to unfold. He glanced at me, and in that look, I sensed a shared curiosity in the air. "I'm going to take a walk around the farm. I want to explore the area better," I announced. However, my intentions were far from merely checking out the surroundings. There was a different kind of curiosity bubbling inside me, growing stronger by the moment. I knew he would catch the invitation hidden between the lines. With every step I took, my heart raced faster. As I stepped outside, I felt my grandfather's gaze on me, as if he was trying to decipher my every move. The tension in the air was thick, almost suffocating. I made my way toward the forest near the house, my heartbeat quickening with each step, adrenaline surging through my body. A part of me wanted to provoke him, to challenge him. And I knew he wouldn't take his eyes off me. Once I had gone a bit further, I couldn't resist the urge to turn and face him. Our gazes locked, intense and unyielding. In a bold gesture, I removed one of my garments without breaking eye contact, letting him see every detail. I held the piece of clothing in the air for a few seconds, moving it slowly and provocatively, before letting it dangle from a nearby tree branch, swaying gently in the breeze. My body ignited with desire, feeling the weight of that undeniable tension. In an instant, he rushed to close the door behind him, grabbing a blanket from the clothesline as he hurried to follow me. I could hear his firm, quick footsteps across the yard, determined with every passing second. The anticipation inside me swelled. There was no turning back now, and honestly, I didn't want to. The game had begun, and I was fully committed. I stepped into the forest, the sound of my footsteps crunching on the dry leaves resonating around me. Adrenaline coursed through my veins, the heat of the moment making my body tremble with excitement. I found a clearing, a flat patch of grass in the midst of nature. There, surrounded by the great outdoors, I shed any lingering fear. I leaned against a tree, the rough bark pressing against my bare back, a cool breeze teasing my skin. My body was on high alert, pulsing with energy. Then I spotted him approaching. His gaze was ravenous, filled with urgency. Each step he took toward me made the air around us feel heavier and more charged with desire. There was no longer room for words. The moment was on the brink of exploding, and the intensity between us communicated everything we needed to say. He was there, and I knew there was no stopping what was about to happen. The impact of his presence made me momentarily hold my breath as he drew nearer.
"You took your time, Grandpa."
"I didn't think you'd show up," I teased, a playful smile dancing on my lips. He regarded me with a blend of surprise and longing, almost as if he couldn't believe I was standing there, completely surrendered and ready for anything. Yet as soon as our eyes met, something shifted in him. The stakes had risen. I could see in his eyes that something was brewing. Without uttering a word, he approached slowly, almost in slow motion, building the anticipation in the air even more. Grandpa grabbed the blanket that was nearby and spread it out on the ground, crafting a comfortable space on the flat area, as if setting the scene for an unforgettable encounter. "I think you've got something hidden that wants to come out, Grandpa. Why not let it out now?" I said in a challenging tone, fully aware of the provocation I was offering. He flashed me a sideways smile, the kind that gave everything away, and began to loosen his clothes. I watched as he became increasingly comfortable revealing what lay beneath. When it all finally came out, I was taken aback, nearly in shock. To give you an idea, if I were to compare it to my ex-husband's, it was twice as large, perhaps even more. A thrill of excitement, mixed with nervousness, coursed through me. How could this be possible? "So, Grandpa, do you still know how to use it? Can you handle it?" I asked, feeling my breath quicken once more. The look he gave me in response spoke volumes. He was about to show me just how charged the atmosphere was with adrenaline, and my heart raced, knowing that what lay ahead would be far more intense than I could have ever imagined. Suddenly, he fell silent, his intense gaze filled with desire and a hint of passion. There was something in his eyes that rendered me motionless, a blend of surprise and excitement that I couldn't ignore. He approached me slowly, deliberately, but with a firmness that sent shivers down my spine when he came to a halt right in front of me. My heart felt like it might leap from my chest. Without uttering a word, he pulled me into him and kissed me deeply, a kiss that made the world around us vanish. That moment became a whirlwind of emotions. The sensation of his lips ignited something deep within me, and before long, we found ourselves lying on the blanket spread across the forest floor. The scent of the trees and the distant sounds of nature conspired to make that moment unforgettable. We lay there for what felt like an eternity, though it may have only been about 15 minutes. Time ceased to matter as our desire only intensified. We were teetering on the edge of something monumental, barely able to control the overwhelming feelings coursing through us. I could sense every muscle in his body tensing with pleasure. Finally, the moment we had both been anticipating arrived. The desire that pulsed between us erupted, and we surrendered completely to that moment without any reservations, as if nothing else in the world mattered. If you enjoy this infidelity story, don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel. Still breathless, we collapsed onto the blanket side by side, exhausted yet wearing satisfied smiles. The relief and tranquility we felt were beyond words. It was then, in the midst of that comforting silence, that we remembered something crucial. Grandma was asleep at home. The shock of that realization jolted us upright. We scrambled to get dressed quickly, our clothes a bit rumpled, hearts still racing. Without exchanging another word, we rushed back toward the house, sharing quiet laughs over our reckless folly. The adrenaline was still surging, but we had to return to reality, attempting to disguise what had just happened. Upon entering my grandparents' house, I was taken aback to see that Grandma was still awake. My heart raced, and I felt my chest tighten as I braced myself to think quickly. But before I could even open my mouth to conjure up an excuse, she asked, direct as ever, "Where were you?" I felt my face flush and struggled to come up with a convincing answer, but it turned out I didn't need to. My grandfather, always composed and with that captivating gaze that left me speechless, took the lead with a firm, decisive voice. "I was showing her around the farm, Olivia. Oh, and there's one more thing. Our granddaughter Amber will be staying with us all week." When I heard that, my heart soared, not from fear, but from a mix of surprise and excitement. I locked eyes with my grandfather for a brief moment that felt longer than it should have. He remained silent, waiting for my reaction. Inside, I was boiling with emotions, yet I nodded in agreement as if it were the most natural thing in the world. At that instant, my silence conveyed more than any words could. Suddenly, the idea of staying just 2 days at the farm, as originally planned, seemed completely trivial. Why would I want to leave so soon? There was something electric in the air, something powerful that anchored me there in a way I couldn't fight against. In fact, I didn't even want to resist the feeling that I was on the verge of experiencing something forbidden. A risky thrill consumed me, and the craziest part was that I craved more, much more. I knew I had been led down a path of no return, and the thought of spending an entire week there with him ignited a burning anticipation within me. The idea of leaving, of returning to my normal life and abandoning this newfound intensity, felt absurd. My grandparents' house, the farm with its tranquil silence and the earthy scent of damp soil, enveloped everything in a different, almost magical atmosphere. Time seemed to pass more slowly, more profoundly, and every moment by my grandfather's side felt heavy with significance. The tension continued to build, growing ever stronger. I no longer cared about the notion of only staying 2 days. What had started as a simple family visit had transformed into something much larger. I felt as though my decision to extend my stay wasn't solely mine. It was as if some greater force was drawing me in, trapping me in a whirlwind of desire, adrenaline, and danger. I couldn't predict what the next few days would hold, but one thing was clear. I wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. The fire ignited inside me wouldn't be extinguished easily, and I was more than willing to let it burn until the end. I wasn't going to run away from it, especially when every fiber of my being was urging me to keep going. This marked the beginning of an experience I had never imagined I would encounter, and I wasn't ready to see it end so quickly. Are you already part of our exclusive YouTube community? If not, you're really missing out on so much, especially the chance to discover a universe brimming with content made for those who love a good mix of adrenaline and a spicy twist. We don't just share stories here. We provide intense experiences that take your imagination to places you've never dreamed of. So, why not join us right now? I guarantee that once you're in, you'll realize this story is just the tip of the iceberg of what we have to offer. And the best part? By becoming a member, you gain access to multiple channels filled with tales and videos, each one hotter than the last. Ready to heighten your senses? Don't waste a moment. Seriously. Every second outside of this universe is a second lost to adrenaline, pleasure, and that thrill that only those who are inside understand. The coolest thing? By signing up, you're becoming part of something much larger. We are a community that grows every day, attracting people like you who seek stories that awaken desires and intensify every heartbeat. Here, you'll feel that energy coursing through your veins as you read, watch, and listen to tales designed to move you, leaving no room for boredom or monotony. So, did you enjoy the story? Don't forget to let me know in the comments. I genuinely love hearing your thoughts on each narrative. Every opinion matters. Every comment makes a difference, motivating me to continue bringing you more hot stories filled with intensity that truly resonate with the feelings and desires of our audience. Reading your feedback excites me even more to keep going because I know I'm connecting with each of you in a unique and special way. So relish this moment and share your thoughts with me. Don't hesitate to tell me what you felt, if it gave you goosebumps, if it made your heart race. I want to hear it all. Oh, and don't forget something super important. Subscribe to the channel. Just click below. It's quick, easy, and makes a huge difference. By subscribing, you ensure you won't miss any videos, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. There are plenty more electrifying stories on the way, each one more intense than the last, packed with details that will send shivers down your spine and heighten your desire with every moment. Now, here's a detail that many forget but is essential. Activate the little bell for notifications. You'll be the first to know about everything. It's like receiving an exclusive invitation to the next stories, and I assure you what's coming will excite you even more. These are narratives you won't want to miss, so activate that little bell now and prepare to be blown away by each new video and every story posted. Anticipation builds, and when you're ready, the experience becomes even more intense and engaging. And of course, I can't miss this special request. Please give a like. It might seem simple, but it's crucial for the channel's growth and for me to continue bringing you hotter, more intense, and emotionally charged content. Each like tells me I'm on the right track, that you're enjoying what you see, and that you want more. What's more, with your like, the channel gains visibility, attracting more people to discover it, and together we can expand this community, uniting individuals who, like you, seek strong emotions and unforgettable experiences. Remember, there's more coming tomorrow. I'm already working on the next report, and I promise it's going to be a knockout. Get ready to dive into another story brimming with adrenaline, spiciness, and moments that will ignite that explosion of sensations within you. So don't delay. Keep your eyes peeled, because tomorrow another intense experience awaits. See you in the next story. I'm sure you'll love what's on the horizon. Catch you tomorrow, and prepare for another adventure into the unknown, where anything can happen and every moment will make your heart race. Don't miss it. It's going to be unforgettable.